Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm Nikita from Feel Good Period. And today what I wanted to start off with, the world that I want to be part of, so our world. And what I see in our world is open communication. That is the root for any healthy relationship. It's just people talking, being open about whatever is happening, in their body, in their mind, and just being open and honest about every single thing. And that is literally what Feel Good Period is, So Feel Good Period is for people to feel good about themselves. So it's mainly targeted at females, and they're monthly. So currently there is lots of social stigma around this topic, around the topic of menstruation, around the topic of period, and the monthly struggles that the females have to go through. Now, if in our world, if we had open communication, if we were willing and if we were honest about what was going with our bodies, then there wouldn't be any social stigma. People would be more than open about this issue. And people that are living on the streets, because the complex issue of, homeless, which is very complex and just there's so many facets to it. It wouldn't be a struggle for those people that are living on the streets, for people that are leaving their countries and, moving overseas, so like refugees, homeless. And the more I looked into this idea, I figured out it's not just a problem with those population, but also young girls, schoolgirls in Auckland itself, girls at university, girls that, or even, anyone that is out and about and just having those monthly struggles because of financial reasons or whatnot, aren't just able to meet those needs. So that's where a Feel Good Period comes in. So Feel Good Period started last year, and it was a marketing assignment that I was doing, and it was part of design thinking. Now, design thinking I am very passionate about because that literally what motivated me in getting out and getting going. And so I want to share the design thinking with you all. So, and maybe you could use that, in your own design thinking. So the way design thinking works is just being empathetic, trying to see the other person's point of view, trying to understand what their problems might be, because often what happens is that we don't really know what our problems are. We are struggling with it on a day-to-day basis, but it's not something that we kind of take it for granted. So we're like, yeah, it's happening, yeah, it's a problem out there, but we don't really address it. So the first step of the design thinking as part of my assignment was just to go out there and just having an open mind, not knowing what the problems are, but just talking to people, because we understand so much just when we're out and about, interacting with people and sharing our story, listening to their story, and that's what I did. So what I decided was between Auckland Uni and my work, I would always walk by Queen Street. So I was like, okay, let's go on Queen Street and let's see who I can talk to, and who are these people that would be willing to share their story with me without me being intruding too much into their life and everything. So I spoke from one person to another, and homelessness was an issue which I didn't really know much about because, again, there's so much stigma around it, so people usually we don't really get to hear their full story as to what is happening, and we often have our own assumptions in place. So I literally went from one to another, and I realized that there's a lot of isolation in our community. So the reason why someone, again, there's multiple reasons why someone might be on the streets or sleeping rough, but with these people that I went and I spoke with, they shared their journey of how socially you can be isolated, physically you can be isolated, emotionally you can be isolated, and there's just so many factors that were coming in, and as I went one from another, I was trying to dig deeper, and I was trying to understand if there is something that I personally could help them out with. And it was only till I stumbled upon one lady, and she started just listing all the things that were wrong. And the thing that stood out the most was menstruation, period, because being a female, I never in my wildest dream imagined that there might be someone out there who wouldn't be able to get basic sanitary pads, tampons, because it's not that expensive, but trying to see from a person's point of view who doesn't have, the financial, who is trying to make ends meet, doesn't have food, money for food or, shelter on their head, and just seeing how they live their life. And she just started listing all the things she was doing to meet her monthly needs, and that was going to Albert Park, picking up all the dried leaves, and using that if McDonald's wasn't letting her in to use the bathroom, because obviously they don't want people to be walking in all the time and just, using their public restrooms. So, knowing that, and then the rags and newspapers, and just the fact she was listing all of this, and she didn't really think of it as a problem in her own setting. It was just something she was doing on a daily basis. But me being a pharmacist, thinking about the health concerns that, because she's risking her life by using all these measures on a day-to-day basis. And so as part of my uni assignment, I knew this was an issue that I wanted to address, So her sharing her journey in her life, I knew that this would be something that, it's a problem that I've identified, which is what happens with design thinking. So design thinking, you're literally walking out, no idea what sort of problem you want to work on, being empathetic with people, just being open to what they might be going through, identifying that problem, and then coming back and just coming up with a whole array of solutions. And that's what I did. So I listed all the things, that I could possibly do to help her out. And then it's about picking one or a couple. So ideally starting off with one solution and trying to make a prototype around it and seeing if that solution is actually best fit for the person that I want to target. So for her, she needed a supply and mainly donations coming her way so that, she can meet her monthly need. And in doing so, I started looking into other, groups that we have that also help refugees and homeless. So Auckland City Mission, Women's Refuge, and the fact, the role that they play in helping these women and helping these people. And so I realized that the best thing would be if we actually had these donations coming in and just an open supply of donations coming in. Ooh, time's going up. But that's that's literally what the design thinking was, and that's how Feel Good Parent started. And it's about in a world where we are open about what's going on and just communicating with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita.